Japan became the very first country in the world to officially penalize, to actually punish obesity. That's right, you heard it. Let's take a look.
Companies are required, okay, by a decree from the national government to measure the abdomen, the belly, the stomach of their employees. And when it exceeds a certain number, right? In other words, to try to prevent or fight obesity, those companies will face penalties because they are specifically required to keep their workers healthy. In any case, they should recommend, a nutritionist, more exercise, give them more time for exercise.
The debate is now open. Let me tell you, here, while you're telling the news, our colleagues behind the cameras are talking to each other. Some people agree because, in a way, you say, well, they're looking out for me. And then there are others who say, and why should they come and force me to stop eating if I feel like eating?
You have to take care of yourself. And you know what I think? That even for the state also saves a lot later on in healthcare.
Of course.
With hospitalizations, you actually prevent a lot of accidents.
Okay, very good. Well, even though the news is a bit clickbait, this is actually what happened in 2008 in reality. And it's not really a penalty for the individual, but rather for certain companies that have more than a certain number of employees, and for those aged 40 and up, if when measuring their waist, it exceeds 75, 80, 90 centimeters and the employer does nothing. That is, the employer has to take them to a nutritionist, as they were explaining, pay for their consultation and have them reduce their waist size. So if the employer is not making that kind of investment in their employees, then there is a penalty, but it's for the employer, not the employee. So it was very interesting. I think it's actually very good, that kind of measure. Let's remember that Japan is a country quite ahead of others, so it's very smart, because by making most of the population have less abdominal fat, less obesity, there will be fewer diseases and less public spending. So, excellent. They won't penalize, although in a way it would even be positive. A hug. Save this video and share it with your employer. A hug.